Hi, Valerie Milano here, the senior editor of the Hollywood Times and Aspiring Magazine. And I'm so happy to have our guest here today. I'm going to have her introduce herself. Thank you so much for being with us.
Hi, thank you so much, Valerie. My name is Sara Werner, and I'm the writer and director of Girlfriend.
Yes. Yay. I'm so glad to be a part of this Hollywood Queer Film Festival. And Sarah, thank you for joining us. Can you start by sharing the spark? What was the exact moment or story that led you to make Girlfriend?
About 6 years ago, my dad was a little sick, my girlfriend at the time, and I went back to my hometown to help out in the summer. I did work as a lieutenant lifeguard. This is my last year doing it on the beach of Cape May, New Jersey. And so she picked up her first ever serving job and getting ready for LA life. So she was at work and she had a new coworker, and verbatim the conversation was, "Oh, so what are you doing down here?" And she said, "Oh, I'm here with my girlfriend." And her coworker at the time said, "Oh, like girlfriend or girlfriend." And my girlfriend, now wife, came home and she was mortified, and I couldn't stop laughing. And I knew that as soon as I got the chance, I would definitely turn it into a film. And I've always wanted to do a fun, experimental art piece and with a narrative edge to it. And I thought, what a better time than needing some queer joy than to do this piece. And also, I don't know. It always bothered me too that the word girlfriend in general, when I felt like I always needed to come out again and again. I wish I could just be like, "Oh, it's my girlfriend." But people are like, "Oh," like they didn't understand. And then they see us kiss. They're like, "Oh, that kind of girlfriend." And I have a lot of guy friends. My guy friends aren't like, "Oh, my boyfriend," or I don't know. So just reclaiming that heterosexualized word girlfriend for our queer benefit too. So I hope that when people see it, it'll always be girlfriend.
Cute, cute. So the title itself plays with the phrase so many queer people have heard or had to clarify. What
Yeah.
does girlfriend mean to you personally?
Definitely just again making being queer not a question. Like it just is what it is. It is who we are. It's how we're born this way. And not having that clarification, and again, that form of empowerment that and I was going back and forth. Originally it was me more of a drama, and then seeing the way the world was going, I really felt like we needed more joy. So it was more of a coming out piece. It still is, but more of a celebration. Whereas before it was more of a struggle journey. It still is, but there are many different forms of how it came. And obviously, when you see the film, you can see that we could have added so much more. And it was just getting that gentle balance. But what it means to me is just, again, queer empowerment and just being like, yeah, this is what it is. And then, deal with it. We're here.
Love it.
Embrace it and stop co opting our word, too.
Yeah. So the film explores that pause many queer folks feel before deciding whether it's safe to come out. How did you translate that very real emotional moment into a cinematic experience?
I just really wanted to be that journey, that pause, that pregnant pause, just going into the recesses of your mind. Because I know that second, every time that I have to judge whether it's safe or whether I don't care if it's safe or not, but I know I need to do this because I'm going to go back home later and be like, why didn't I take that moment to educate somebody or to, again, like that hesitation? I don't want anyone to ever think that it's a matter of shame or being nervous. Like it is being nervous, but it's nothing shameful or fearful. But I think it does come from that sense of breaking through that fear into that empowering realm. So for me, that journey, it felt the queer sapphic version of the big boom or the big bang, I should say.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like the universe coming, like that moment of coming out and making it joyous, even though like our own personal coming out story, but then again, having to come out again and again in front of others and just turning that into this cinematic journey and playing with all these stereotypes and reclaiming them and taking that. Because I remember as a kid, people would be like, "Oh, what do you do? Scissor?" I was just trying to go through all my mind of all the homophobia through the years. I'm like, I'm going to take this and we are going to reclaim it so hard. And if you do it and you show them, like, what else are they have to left to say? So I hope that there's enough of that in the film that leaves the mic dropped and just been like, big, sorry, didn't mean to flip off, but
Funny.
the number one.
You've described this short as a celebration of queer joy. Why was it important for you to center joy, especially given the current climate for LGBTQ plus communities?
Yeah, it was joy is something that I don't let myself feel enough, and I know my friends don't want to let themselves feel enough as well, because we're so caught up in preparing for this next attack on it, or just on our humanity and our well-being, or watching our trans friends be denied and their very existence, which is insane. And again, it's just the time for joy. And this year I got married. My wife is actually the lead, very talented actor, so she had to relive her trauma, Brie.
Yeah.
But we had a big year, and also with this film doing so well, and it was hard to, and the joy of people connecting with it, it took a minute. Like, we were like, do we even get married? What do we do? Like, we need to get married to protect ourselves. But again, joy being resistance. They want to see us afraid, they want to see us cowering, and just to be louder and prouder and more visible is so key, and smiling through it, smiling through the pain. And I think, again, just reclaiming this moment as joy rather and unity. So that was the main, again, going from this more of a dramatic sense to comedy and joy, and just reclaiming one sense of self via that.
Since you mentioned Bree was your wife, I'll go to this question because I thought of it before I knew that. How did you work with your cast, particularly Gallagher as the server, to make sure this mix of comedy, trauma, and empowerment came through authentically?
We just checked in a lot. I asked if we needed an intimacy coordinator, but everyone, I definitely will for the sequel. But just checking in, making sure we were telling an authentic story, looking at the backstory behind every choice, every visual, making sure that, like, when we were talking about ideas, just making sure that felt organic and authentic. And working with her, as with everybody, it's always as ifs. I love working with visuals rather than giving result direction. And that's all we really just talked about. We just tried make it like play. And unfortunately, this was done with the shoestrings. That whole bar scene we shot at Library L House in Santa Monica. Shout out to those amazing humans, Zach and Riley, that run that. They're Bree's bosses. And they let us use the restaurant before it opened. So we had 2 hours to set up, film, and get it done before they opened. And so we talked about what we could before. Linda's amazing, and Delia's incredible. Like, the whole cast and crew, I'm just so grateful. Bree and Linda performed together for a comedy group called Angel City Idiots, formerly Angel City Idiots, and I saw them together on stage. I'm like, they have great chemistry, and Linda was just so excited to do this comedic journey with us, especially making that gesture believable. And she just nailed it. So those two were just perfect, no notes. And again, just 1, 2 takes, go, 1, 2 takes, go. And the way I work is one we talked about, one with a little note, and then the third one's always for them, because at the end of the day they know their characters more than I ever could, and that's why they're cast. And then Delia, she's an incredible performer. I had seen at Planet Queer, and I knew I'd always want to work with her. And then we reconnected on an incredible queer web series called Open to It. She was there, and I saw her. I'm like, oh my God, I'm a big fan of yours. And then we connected, and I pitched the idea to her, and I said I needed a goddess. And to me, she's just the epitome of feminine and all things godlike. She came on, and then we rented a warehouse. I had a little bit of money that we did through Peerspace, and I called some friends. I'm like, who's free? So whoever was free came, and we just shot that again in, I think, 2 hours. That was our magic number. But and then the rest, we just, whenever people were free, I just reached out and was like, hey, is anyone around to play around for a couple hours today? So we just kept doing that over the course of a year and put it together. And I'm just glad that it was after the election. I knew that it was like the extra fuel to my fire to edit it. It was my first piece I'd ever edited. And fortunately, I had my editor, Blake, who I usually work on all the cool speed ramps and everything that's out of my realm.
Wow, yeah. The goddess figure and the scissor queen imagery are bold, they're playful, and deeply symbolic. Can you talk about your use of camp and surrealism and reclaiming queer sexuality?
Oh, for sure. I recently just watched Drop Dead Gorgeous the other day too. I don't know. I think I always thought of like the beauty queen and just queering those spaces, because it always felt so heterosexual, like the Barbie dolls even, and who didn't have their Barbie scissor, and just taking all those classic heterosexual images and just turning it on its head. So that was the red backdrop, just having that beauty queen imagery, the prom queen, the homecoming queen, hence the crown, and just turning that was actually really fun to make. I used a hot glue gun for that one, just spray painted all the scissors. But when I was daydreaming about this piece, the scissor crown always came to mind as this not only heroic symbol, but the queen, the goddess, just this ethereal imagery, and then having someone help guide you, like having that queer elder, that goddess, that spirit guide, and that's really where the goddess came in. I think that we all find that whether it's in a piece of music, whether it's a queer film, something that you sought out. Uh, I was the L word as a kid. I was reading whatever I could get my hands on. Ruby Fruit Jungle, like all these artists to me are that goddess because by reading their work, they led the way. So again, that's why I had to cast Delia because she is that artist leading the way for me.
This was clearly, as you're talking, a passion project shot across a year on a tight budget with a small but mighty crew. The film is visually rich. Can you talk about your collaboration with Robert Bennett as cinematographer and how you achieved that hyper queer realm look?
Rob is my hero. We both went to the same school, but we never met there. We actually met out in LA right after COVID. And Rob is just someone I love collaborating with because it's always yes and what else can we do? And Rob is fortunately has his own production company called Genius Insane. Check them out; they're amazing. So whenever he's not on a shoot, he's just, what can we make? What can we do? So he's again that dream collaborator. So I always had this idea again from years ago, and I pitched it to him, and he just couldn't stop laughing. He's okay, yep, whatever you need, I'm there. And we decided to really burn that look into. We wanted to make it look filmic, even though it was shot digitally. Like we would love to shoot on film, but film's expensive is expensive. So we really wanted the golds and the pinks and the reds and just these warm hues to not only fill you up with that kind of just aid in filling up that joy with that color theory, like that fire, that passion. So those were the color palettes we chose. And again, we just really wanted to burn in that look. And when the light hits, just to get those stars and the sparkles wherever we could. And again, just hyper camp, hyper queer, hyper just amping everything up. And usually I'm like, oh, what choice do we make here? But we just knew it was, we could just see it so clearly together. And again, that's why I love working with him. And he just was yes. And we could have made this like quadruple the length, but I was like, okay, we have to restrain ourselves. But the humor in it is we've shot some short films together that had less shots than this 5 minute piece because it's just all those quick, just eyeballs, like whatever your brain can register. We just wanted to hit people over the head with these beautiful images. And yeah, I can't wait to do another one.
Yeah, looking forward. What kinds of stories are you most eager to tell next? And do you see yourself continuing in this playful, experimental vein?
Yeah, I definitely always want to give voice to queer characters and stories that need to be told and to inspire others. And I would love to keep doing those on a microcosm, but to keep on doing these short bite-sized pieces that all stem on these questions that we go through. The sequel happened. The sequel wrote itself on Brie and my wedding day already. It's gonna be wife, get ready. But taking these real life interactions and just reclaiming them, like whether you had the best response then, but now you can have the best response through a film, which is forever. I was asking my casting crew too, I'm like, anybody have any good stories they want to share that they want to reclaim some of their trauma? But yeah, just making, I know Delia has some good ones too, but yeah, I think that would be really fun. I'm one of those people that can't stop working. So always having a larger project that's ongoing, but having something that is so tangible and these little 5 minute pieces that can last longer in your mind for
Well,
sure.
it's been a pleasure to meet you on of Zoom here, and hopefully we can meet in person. How can our readers and our viewers find out more about you, more about the film, social media, or your website? What?
Yeah, I have a website. It's my name. It's www.sarah, no H, the non-biblical way, Werner, Werner. I wish I had relations to the ladders and trucks, but I do not. Com. And then I'm trying to get better with Instagram, and my Instagram handle is at C Werner, SCA, and then my last name, Werner. So like the ocean sea, SCA Werner. And then you can also follow the film which is at underscore a underscore very underscore queer underscore film. So just to really hit that across that it's a queer
Beautiful.
film. But yeah, we have a list of our screenings on there and ways to reach out. And you can reach out to the cast through there and the crew. And yeah, we just really look forward to seeing you all on Sunday. I know that I'm really grateful I'll be able to be there. And one of our leads, Delia, and our other lead, Linda, will be able to be there too. Bree's going to be repping in Minnesota. We had to divide and conquer, but the
Yeah.
three of us will be there. We're excited. Hopefully, some crew can come through too. But we're stoked. 2 o'clock on Sunday, the 5th. And thank you so much, Valerie. I can't wait to connect with you too. This is
Wonderful, Sarah.
awesome. Thank you so much for supporting all us queer filmmakers and
Yeah.
watching our films. So just gonna
Yeah.
give you a big hug.
Yay, I'm excited for you. We're the Hollywood Times today, and our YouTube channel is the Hollywood Times Official, also aspiringmagazine.com. And so excited for you and look forward to meeting you soon. So safe travels to Los Angeles and
Yeah,
rooting for you. We're spreading the word.
thank you so much.
Have a great rest of your day. Bye.
You. Thank you so much, Valerie. Bye.